Laura, you let us know when you're ready. Okay, Brian, you want to crank us up there? Thank you, sir. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Safety and Operations Committee meeting. We have a full agenda, so we'll slide right in. I've taken attendance. I've signed everybody in here. Just a note that the next committee meeting date is February 20th and is listed in board docs. And so moving forward, we'll head right into the presentation and we'll hit Chief Miller.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Weaver. I just have a brief update this evening, mostly on personnel. All of our school police officer positions have been filled. Officer Steve Gillen started at South on December the 9th. He completed his state mandated training, and this coming Monday at 10 a.m. we have an appointment at the Court of Common Pleas for him to be approved, and then we will get him legally sworn in and complete that portion of his training, and then he will be assigned at South. Officer Michelle Knabb is scheduled to start this coming Monday. She'll go through her mandated training within the next 2 to 3 weeks. After that time, again, we'll petition for her to be reviewed by the courts and go through that same process. She will be assigned then at Middle School East. And in doing so, we will shift around some of our personnel at that point when we're fully staffed to affect some more coverage in the evening hours as well as on some extracurricular activity. Right now, you may be aware, our security officer here at the high school, Michael Haran, retired on January the 10th. So he is now officially off the books. I'm working with Mr. Moran and HR for drafting a job description for his position and a replacement thereof, which will, again, supplement some of these other assignments that we've been looking forward to covering with our own personnel in the afternoon and evenings. So those things are all in process, and so far without any kind of concerns. Just a few comments were not listed here on this part of the agenda. Just a few items that are lingering in the background. The first one, the crossing that we discussed here on Route 29 in front of the high school between Trapp Road and the county trail. I am still working with the township on connecting with an engineer from PennDOT. They have been a little lax in getting back to us with regards to that particular project. There is escrow money set aside for a traffic signal there. I don't believe that would apply if we simply made it a pedestrian crossing, but we're investigating those options as we move forward with PennDOT and the township staff. The gates that we discussed previously have all been installed. That project is completed.
They look great.
Pardon me?
They look great.
Yeah, they turned out really nice. I've been working with John Moran, so we're putting the same locking system on those gates from an emergency perspective as the building will have. Any of our buildings within Perkiomen Township are keyed alike with the fire department on what's called a Knox system, K-N-O-X. So they offer an option for padlocks, so we're going to put those on the gates. If for any reason the gates are closed, the fire department will have access. And likewise, Mr. Fabrizio's team and I will have routine access with a separate locking system. So either way, that will effectually cut off campus if we should need to do that for whatever reason, whether it be plowing or special events and things of that nature. And then finally, the last thing I want to comment on very quickly is our AED project. So I've been working with Aaron and our health teams about placing these new AEDs. All the new AEDs we received also have pediatric capability. So those will primarily be placed in our elementary buildings. The likelihood of a pediatric incident at the middle and high schools, simply by the size of our students, is less. So we're going to prioritize those in the elementary buildings. But we do have enough, and the current AEDs we have are still serviceable, so we're going to keep them. And basically, when we're done, the walking time between any of our AEDs on any campus would be 1.5 minutes, which is well within the limitations that the Red Cross and the Heart Association have set up. So we worked very closely with CHOP and their personnel there. They came, they did a survey and assessment of the building with us. they were happy with the way that we were planning on setting them up. So the equipment is sitting currently in my office, but I'll be working with Joe and his team to get that all installed. And then we can cross that one more project off the list. So, sure.
Just a component to the AEDs that is part of that grant program through the Chester County IU that the school board approved. So it's finally coming to fruition. Anything else for Mr. Miller? Okay, thank you. Handing it over now to Mr. Fabrizio.
Okay, sorry, my voice is a little shot tonight. We're still moving full force with the fire panel replacement upgrades with the grant we received. It's $1.1 million for this project, and the district has to match 25% of that with a cost of $275,000. This was a federal contract on the Omnia platform to meet procurement guidelines. So this summer we're going to focus on Middle School East, West, and Evergreen. East will be totally offline for the ESCO start for the Univents, so that was a no-brainer. Evergreen and then West are in need because they're the oldest. And then the following year, we're going to tackle Skipback and Schweinsville in summer of 2026. And then the total net cost after that grant is $337,000, and we'll fund that through our reserves for capital projects in the general fund. So we did.
South is done because that was part of the update. Is that the
So South. So the high school in South. The high school is its own beast. Just to upgrade this building would be over $1 million. So we're probably going to focus on upgrading the remaining loops after 2026. All the systems are functional. It's just time to replace them to get ahead of things. And South is the newer of all the panels that went in during ESCO 3,
Yeah.
I believe it was, and then we'll get to that probably 2027 during that point in time.
Just a point of reference here. I know Joe. So Joe's done some really good work in working with CM3 to get this list in a pliable position here so that we can consider it, and we'll move forward with school board approval in the certain sections. But also the idea of the high school, pulling that out of the conversation for now was Joe's idea. It makes perfectly good sense, and that helped us to wrap up this particular point of the project to move forward with it. So Joe has some thinking outside the box there to get this to this point. A summary sheet that we dealt with from CM3's perspective and what we are basically looking at for South and high school. You can see where, after consideration of the first look and the second look, we really focused in on those 5 buildings that are checked off there. We kind of forced CM3's hand to give us that number. But in total, if we went with what they had projected, the total project would be well in excess of $2.5 million. So again, we'll take that out, South and high school, because we're just not ready. South, everything's working, and the high school as well. Joe's investigating these extra loops that we might be able to replace in a cheaper fashion. At the end of the day, that 715 might be a little bit less. And so again, just a good summary sheet there.
Another grant we received for $191,000. We're going to be upgrading some of our cameras and the whole platform we're riding on. We're working with Mr. Ganesh, Chief Miller, Mr. Weaver, Ms. Hurd on this project. So we're going to be installing 29 additional cameras. Will be installed, IP cameras. The head end will be changed over to a platform called Genetech, which will allow deeper integration to current subsystems we have, like the vape sensors. We'll be able to integrate their triggers into the camera system and have a better understanding of kind of what's going on and when. We're going to change up our storage architecture from going like all the eggs in one basket to kind of called like a hub and spoke. We're going to have storage at each building to break it up. So if one unit goes down, we don't lose everything. This was all done under PEPLM, and for a whole net cost of $767. So I'll take that.
Again, good work, Good work by the team to get the grant application to get it approved. And if it's okay with the committee members, moving forward with both the fire panel as presented at the 1.437 and the PCCD grant, to move forward, you'll see that the actual contract in the board approval for February, if everybody's okay with that.
We're in agreement there? Yeah. Awesome. And so I know with the fire panels, we've been talking about the timeline. Is there a timeline for the cameras as well?
Once it gets approved, I'll start, running this in high gear, and order the equipment, work with Mr. Ganesh on his part to, get all the storage in place, and then the contractor will get them on the schedule. So I'm hoping before the summer to have this, knocked out.
Okay.
I think it's doable.
Okay. So that would be ideal. I would assume sooner rather than later is probably a preference. So this is 29, and they are to be installed. I know you mentioned integration with the vape sensor, so obviously that's here. Are all 29 due to be at the high school, or are they going to be spread in different spots based on blind spots?
Yeah, so we identified several blind spots across the district, and these 29 cameras will be district-wide.
So we don't need to talk about the blind spots right now, but yeah, got it. Thank you.
They will enhance our existing coverage.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay. Mr. Ganesh, Middle School East and Middle School West auditorium projects, update.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. A very quick update on the auditorium projects. So the phase 1 is nearing its completion. As a matter of fact, the vendor would be here tomorrow to wrap up some final things. And after that, the only thing that will remain is the rigging inspection, which we anticipate to be completed by end of this month. So the phase 1 should be completed altogether by end of this month. So overall, the phase 1 was at or a little under budget and is completed on time. Very happy with the outcome of phase 1. We already started identifying the tasks that will go on to the phases 2 and 3. So we anticipate, based on the previous estimates that we've gotten, we anticipate the phase 2 to cost around $460,000 with a timeline of 2 to 3 months for that installation. And the phase 3 is around $250,000 with a timeline of about 2 months for the implementation. So our plan, if the committee is in favor, was to bring both the phases together in front of the board for approval in February. We're still waiting on the proposal from the vendor. Once we get the updated proposals, our plan is to bring both the phases together in front of the board for approval in February. So Jim, can you go to the next slide? What's that?
250.
250, yeah. So we, at this point, we're getting some numbers from the vendors. Like apparently, the numbers that we got last fall, there's some changes in the numbers. So we're waiting for updated numbers. But based on what we had estimated before, it was within that framework is what we're looking at. And we also have some tasks that we need to get completed. Some of them are needs, some of them are wants. So based on where the proposal falls, we can choose what we want to get done.
So when you say we pick and choose, who do you mean?
So that'll be working with the AV team. Yeah. So we work hand in hand. So yeah.
And so based on a timeline of 2 to 3 months, where does that take us with?
Implementation. So we talked about that. So I mean, ideally, if we can get this project approved by the board in spring, February, March,
Okay.
February. So the vendor can start ordering the parts, which are about 6 to 8 weeks is the lead time. And they can, by the time the music season is already over, but at least they can get all the parts, everything ready, and during the summer before the outage or whatnot, they can begin the installation. So this auditorium will be ready for the new school year. So I anticipate the work to be done over the summer.
Once we do get the new bid quotes, the updated bid quotes,
Right.
Our plan is to put them on, presuming the Safety and Operations Committee agrees, obviously, we'll put them on the board agenda for full school board approval for phase 2 and 3.
Yeah, the committee's in favor of moving forward. We'll bring it to the board in February.
Right, so and I do understand, I know that we had several conversations about the full scope of the refresh in general, and I think the committee was comfortable moving the entire project forward, but I understand it comes to the board piecemeal as the phases are completed, because that's how the bills get paid. So that's understood, I just wanted to state for the record that that was the timing of it. So I think, we're still on board with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so all steam ahead.
Thank you. Okay, Evergreen Playground, Mr. Marsh.
So yeah, thanks, committee. I really excited to talk to you tonight, and we'll share with you. I'm living obviously in the details of this, so if I miss any details you would like, let me know. But so basically, since November, started a conversation with the school community, and have had 2 installments opportunities in the evening for families, and have tomorrow actually they will get the presentation that I've had with a QR code where they can give further input. And then I'm meeting with the 4th and 5th grade students tomorrow afternoon as well to present to them. They and their Google Classrooms will have a chance to give some input as well. We do have 3 viable options. Jim, do you have the presentation? Yeah. So if we could, you can go to the next slide. Sorry, Jim. So you know, this will be quick. I'll go through this, but this is what I've been sharing with the community, our purpose and our agenda, and you can see what we're accomplishing in those evenings. Next slide. You can see the timeline there. We do have from the funding, I want to share just to, you know, you don't have to change the slide, Jim, but when you look at numbers of installation, Home and School is offering at least $15,000, speaking with them last night. If we were to combine the 2 package options that are the most expensive, it might bring us in about $5,000 over with that $15,000, they without hesitation are willing to support that. So they have been I'm getting the clear message that they have been saving and anticipating this for some time. So that was like if it comes down to a few $1,000s, they are not concerned at all. And that would be only if we pick the 2 expensive combinations. So then in December, I visited South Elementary School, had some feedback from Dave DeAndrea and some insight from him on how to work with the vendor. We finalized that funding with Home and School and publicized the meeting. Then we had the meetings this month. Ideally, the goal, and we're still in line with this, it might bleed into the first week in February, but with a 4 to 6 week time frame, and we need the ground to thaw anyhow to install, I want to get the order in quickly. But we have to go through the feedback process, and I want to make sure we're solid. I want to vet it again with Jim and Joe to make sure after I get through with the students and go through that feedback. Okay, but that's the idea, and then the goal remains to try to get the 5th graders some experience on it this spring, if we can do that. Okay.
So did they give an explanation about how, oh, it says it, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
No worries.
Move on.
No worries. And so the vision, the larger vision, which the first thing is a separate project to relocate the kindergarten playground. That'll be put on hold until we can really dig in on that. But no pun intended. But that so we want to relocate the kindergarten playground to the area 2, which is the one patch in the back there that used to have the pirate ship. And the reason for that being it's a little more secure. We can then take our outdoor classroom, move it to the front, and have a viable outdoor space. There's a vision. They're inspired by the skip back garden. So there's a years long visions that we have with that, but that's not this project. So then we would replace in area 1 and area 2, area 1 being the main playground area. And then you can see that. And in this plan, you can see as well that there are 2 options for kindergarten, and then there's 3 options. I'm going to have Jim scroll, and you'll see all the pictures for that in a minute. The parameters that I took executive decision on were that we were going to remove Gaga. That is becoming a socially counterproductive activity for our students. And it is hard to manage. And I think that it's best that we do not replace that at this time. So I'd put that out. I haven't got much feedback. The 5th graders and 4th graders are not going to be happy tomorrow. So I'll be talking with them. Okay. And if you have an opinion about that, then we can talk about that. It's not part of this package, but we can always work back to that. But I was the guy who tried to bring them in, and now I'm ready to pull them out. But that's not part of this, and they don't produce Gaga pits. But if that's something we want to explore, we can certainly do that down the line. But that's the parameter I put out there. Yes, sir.
What is the social issue?
So you put in about 25 students in a ring, and do you know the game? And they hit the ball.
I just know my kids loved it.
Yeah, the idea is you're going to get someone out of the ring, so it's a game of elimination by hitting the ball, and it goes below the knees. And what happens if it bounces off the wall and hits? And what happens is we have legal cases come in off the recess yard about who was out first and who wasn't out, and the teachers are managing it. We got whistles there, but it is counterproductive. And
That's
just
part of the game, though, was working those issues out, isn't it?
Sure. This is not even a thrust. I mean, we can talk Gaga if you guys want to,
Well, I understand the reasoning that it causes maybe more turmoil that's maybe unnecessary. But everybody has them. So if you removed it, I think you may be the only one that wouldn't have it anymore. I don't know if that's true or false, but even the middle schools, I think, have at least one.
Yeah, I
I know
don't know.
East has 2, I believe. I like that it's a cultural game.
Okay.
And then I wonder if maybe there could just be maybe no recess Gaga. And maybe there could be some restrictions put on it in that way to allow for the experience of the game. But yes, I think that if there is I think that if there's a social issue that needs to be addressed because of how these students are using it, that should be addressed. But I just, I don't know that the whole school should be punished for.
Oh, okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So in other words, if 4th grade can't handle Gaga, 4th grade's on like Gaga sabbatical. Now you can't play Gaga for 2 weeks or 30. Show me that you can do this and be respectful
Yeah.
about it. And I know that you very much lead that way.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I understand that you probably wouldn't even consider just not putting it back if you weren't already doing the playground refresh because it's there. But I feel as though there are some important lessons to be learned with the proper etiquette.
Working out the problems is part of the game. I think at that level. I mean, you could have that issue in any game.
Right.
Tag, kickball,
Dodgeball.
Football. You didn't tag me with 2 hands. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. And you work it out.
But if you've got repeat offenders, then maybe they can't handle
Oh, yeah,
Gaga. They need
certainly.
a Gaga break.
No, I hear loud and clear.
Yeah.
We'll work
So-
I'll work with the gentleman. Now that is not part of this because this company doesn't do
I
that
got that
either.
part.
So,
I just mean in terms of
yeah.
the removal of it.
Got it.
And I kind of liked that. The first time I ever experienced or heard of Gaga was actually at our synagogue.
Oh, it's synagogue.
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay.
No, we didn't go to camp, but the synagogue. So it's I think it's a very nice
Synagogue.
synagogue.
Okay.
Yeah, look what you did there. Wade has been so funny this week.
I
fire, Wade.
I could not help myself. I'm
And Dr.
sorry.
Russell's
It
not
doesn't-
even here to laugh at your joke. Unbelievable. Okay, we'll take it back to her. She'll watch the video.
I actually meant that as a joke. So,
I know, that was
yeah,
good.
be-
That was-
other times people just laugh at me, and I'm just like, no, I'm serious.
No, I think that it is. I think that there is value to. Okay, well, you know what? You need a Gaga break, and now you can go on to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I hear you loud and clear, and we'll certainly work
Awesome.
to address that. The swings are a safety and a cost matter. That was guidance and footprint
swings are
yeah,
Yeah.
and a number of kids that can access it. And then I was advised not to get into a public discussion about the colors, just because that can slow you down. And
lot of feelings on that,
yeah,
right?
and the families are great with that. They've been really good with, and you'll see the mock-ups are green and blue, but we'll have a smaller group discussion about that.
Get what you get, and you don't get upset. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's all custom made. But in terms of the Gaga, yeah, that will probably be taken out for tomorrow for the kids, and I'll regroup on that with these gentlemen.
I
Okay?
appreciate that. Thank
Oh,
you.
absolutely, absolutely. I didn't mean to overstep with that either. So kindergarten option 1, you can see the 2 angles there. So that would be the one that would go where the former pirate ship was. That's option 1. And then Jim, there's kindergarten option 2. Without, because this is a public meeting and we have more feedback to take. So I have, people are weighing in on these. And then you can see the first set of that's the main playground. That is the first. So what you'll see descends in order from a smaller footprint, smaller price, with, I wanted 3 distinct options, and I think you'll see that here, but that's the first option you can see at multiple angles. There's the second option, with the key feature being that taller tower. We focused on accessibility for kids and doability. That was some feedback from Mr. DeAndrea at South. And then there's option 3, which has the largest footprint. Some popular aspects to that people like are the those climbing webs that are there. But that's the third, and you can see the largest footprint there as well. And so they're all of them together. And so that's that. If you want to go back to the cost slide, Jim, back up to so these are the proposals themselves.
This is actually just option 3 for the regular program and option 2 for the kindergarten playground, because that was the main focus.
Yep, correct.
And this is the maximum.
That would be that's what I was referencing at the beginning of the presentation, that's the 15, and if we had to close that gap to the 160 was the budget. So
Can you go back to the options? So option 1 here, is this pretty much what's there now, or in my
the
memory,
playground or the
sorry, for the kindergarten playground?
it's not too dissimilar.
Looks pretty, I mean, it's kind of in my mind, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
About. But I know that they have the 2 slides. All right, so it's sort of like, I don't, do you have opinions about them? Should I not share my opinions because we want to get
You can share.
feedback?
No, you can share your opinions. Absolutely. That's what I absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
kind of like 2 because I like those little steps. I think that looks more fun. On the top options, all 3 of them have that little carousel guy. Is that installed already at South?
I do not know. I don't believe so.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that actually in person, the new playground at South, but I have overseen playgrounds that have that little carousel guy. So I'm in the Gaga realm. The carousel guy is sometimes
A tricky thing.
a little tricky to manage. So I don't know.
I can see if we have flexibility on that.
Yeah, well, I think the carousel's super fun, right? But there's only so many, there's a lot of ways to misuse the carousel. If you can picture in your mind what that might be like. So there would just need to be like a station there in my oversight experience of the carousel. But again, if you're using the carousel correctly, super fun. If you're not using it correctly, then now you've lost carousel opportunity.
And I do want to share, as we install this will come complete with lesson plans, assemblies,
Right.
modeling,
Right.
and showing. We'll have
A
all.
lot of it's common sense
Yeah.
of what you shouldn't be doing with it, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes that fourth grade, kind of 5th grade, it gets a little wonky sometimes.
Impulsivity can
It's,
lead,
I
can lead
get
us astray.
it. It seems
Yeah.
like a great idea to hang upside down on the carousel, but I just,
We advise against it. So, yes. Sorry, sir.
I'm sorry, just with the carousel, the merry-go-round, it seems odd that swings are a safety concern, but the carousel is not.
Well, if you look at the design of that, it's different. It's different from how we grew up. It
Yeah.
doesn't have. You can't really get it.
can't stand on
Yeah, and you can't get it going. There's no handles to really. It's not like Price is Right. You're not just whipping
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no, I'm
Like
not-
I remember being a kid, we were joking about that, like on cement with the, like hanging on the side. Yeah, metal. Everything's metal.
We need seesaws and metal slides.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's option 4.
Yeah, I'm coming out of this really in good shape. No,
Black top and,
Right, black,
Yeah.
right.
black dot.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
Oh, Bob,
What-
So-
on the subject of the throwing stars, what are the things that look like archery targets?
okay. Those are signs. Those are signage. That's just signage that says this equipment is rated for ages. There's a sign at South that has it. It's just a sign.
Okay. Huh. All right.
You against signs?
They're in this, I think it's probably from the placement is why you're asking, right? That does look like a
Yeah.
feature of some sort.
Yeah.
No, that's, yeah. I
Okay.
could show you on my phone a picture of the south sign. But,
All right, well, it'll be interesting to hear what their feedback is.
yeah, I'm curious. And just feedback from you, I think we did, I mean, and the feedback I've had is we did provide 3 distinct options at 3 different levels, and we have a couple in kindergarten. I definitely will follow up on the Gaga piece. That certainly is not something I'm trying to cause any issue with. And then we can go from there.
I just feel like the Gaga piece might be an opportunity to, the middle option, option 2, that tall tower, again, with oversight, sometimes there's some blind spots up there, so I don't know if, I'm sure you'll have teachers weigh in on what.
Yeah, they
You
have
kind of
as
have
well.
to picture yourself standing there watching kids, I guess.
Is there a capacity difference between the different
That's a
options?
good question.
You know, like it can accommodate this many at once compared to the other options?
I can find that out. I don't have that present in my head, but I believe he has that. And we talked when I met with him, and we met with the home and school about traffic flow and access and accessibility. But I can get those numbers. I don't have that in
Just
front of me.
curious because, you know, the different options would mean this many can play here and others are going to not. And I would think we would want to maximize the amount that at least would be available.
And also, Mr. Marsh,
Yes, ma'am.
in terms of like ADA accessibility for any of the choices, obviously there's a lot of stairs and climbing involved, but are there options available or provided in the, like you said, the lesson plans, the package that they turn over with regard to, I know sometimes I've seen it, I don't know what they're called, I know they have a name, but the boards, that they're all image boards, there's different pictures
Okay.
that you can, you know, like for like nonverbal cues type of thing to say where you want to go, or it doesn't look super accessible, so I don't know what the criteria is within that, and then if there's a portion of the population, how many wouldn't be able to access components of it, because it's kind of stinks to look at an awesome playground and not be able to use any of
Yeah,
it.
we did anyway, go ahead, Jim.
But I think there sensory playground type of things
Yeah.
up at Schwenksville.
Yeah.
So that might be an area to reach out to Krista Benza to see if he can get some additional information on that.
All right, thanks, Jim.
But those were the top of mind considerations that I was wondering.
Okay, so if we
Thank you.
took the most expensive options as we try to formulate a financial impact for school board approval, as you know, the next week will be a telling sign. The maximum cost to the school district would be $169,085 under those options without any adjustments that we just talked about that might come through. And that's good. That's within range of what South paid 5 years ago at this point in time. So I think it's in pretty good shape. It would be through co-stars, and we do have monies reserved for capital projects in the general fund. And the installation would happen as quickly as possible, or the summer of 2025 if we push this back any further.
So, Mr. Marsh, when would you, I know that you said basically 2 days for meetings, and it sounds like there's a couple of other just things to button up. Do you think it's reasonable for February approval? I know you're shooting for sooner rather than later, right?
Based on the feedback tonight, I'll talk with Jim and Joe tomorrow and see how much this is involved, but I would still like to try to meet the timeline of
Awesome.
February.
Yeah.
I have stated it publicly that I really, these fifth graders have been waiting, and I really want to try to give them that chance if we can do it. And if it doesn't come to fruition for some reason, we will be able to say with assurance that we've done everything we could to try to make that happen, but that's the idea.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't want us to be the reason that it's held up, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
Mr.
try to bring it to
Mr.
us as soon as we
Liggett,
can.
Got it.
Dr. Weston?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
so
work
we're
to-
ready to move it forward as soon as the decision's made then.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. That's exactly what we'll do. We'll put it on for February agenda.
Yeah, worst comes to worst, you can always go to a not to exceed or something.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Very exciting.
And the moment you've been waiting for.
Okay. So project review, Mr. Fabrizio.
I like how you made it perfectly readable. It's excellent.
So-
Go.
Yeah, it's tiny. It's
Yeah,
tough to
no
fit
worries.
on there. So we're finally getting ready to kick off the interior door lock project. I'm working with our vendor. They're hoping to start next week. We're going to be starting at the high school. Once I have they're going to be working second shift, so we can knock this out efficiently and in a timely manner because we have been waiting for some time. There's a lot that's going to go into this project. We have to pre-seed all the new keys to all the teachers. The keys are coming serialized. I'm working with Mr. Ganesh to then assign those assets, aka the keys, to an individual so they are accountable for those keys. And at the end of the year, the building secretaries will collect the keys back and then again redistribute the following year. So my plan is the high school, East, then Evergreen, just to keep them localized on one campus, and then head out to West, South, Skippack, and then Schwanksville. All with a not to exceed date of August 15th. During this time, we're also spinning up. It's going to be a very busy summer. The ESCO Exhibit A. We're starting at Middle School East with the Univents on June 16th, and that's going to push us right up until teachers come back, just because of the scale and scope of the project, August 15th. At that same time, we're tackling Middle School West roof and the door and window seals. That's been an issue up there, as well as the fire panel. So West is going to be very, very busy as well. These dates are for the ESCO. The Univents that's solidified. I'm just waiting on finalizing the roof and the window seals. We're also doing high school rooftop replacements and district-wide control upgrades.
So when you say rooftop replacements, do you mean patching or
No.
entire sections brand new?
The whole roof's going to be overhauled at
Gotcha.
West.
Gotcha.
Yep.
High school, you
Oh,
said.
high school. Those are the units.
Rooftop replacement. They're HVAC units. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha. I was
We call 'em
wondering if
rooftop
there was,
units,
no,
yeah.
that's understood. Okay, it's just because you went from the, gotcha.
This way, just a point of reference. These are the final HVAC units
Yep.
from the 2006 and initial install and the last upgrade through ESCO 3.0. So
Got it.
I was hoping to see another helicopter lift, but I think they're bringing in a really big crane. So
Disappointing.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm also working with Mr. Ganesh on leveraging the infrastructure we installed this past year, the fiber to the lower turf field and then to the field house. So I have some preliminary costs here for cameras, network card access, and so forth at these locations. We're still working through those items at this point in time, and we're hoping to possibly leverage some E-rate funding on those items. The Genetech upgrade and camera additions are also in here. I'm hoping to get that started in March, so once we have the board approval in February, we can kick that off in March. Middle school east door replacement I have on here. We have 2 sets of doors that are in, they're original, they're in dire need of replacement. That is the auditorium bank of doors, as well as the student bus loop doors. They really need to be replaced. I do have a CoStar's quote for that at $72,000 and some change. So I'm hoping to move forward with that. I have the last vehicle on here for replacement, which is our dump truck that died over a year ago, but on our vehicle replacement plan, it wasn't scheduled to be replaced until now, so I have that on there as well. We're working through that. The high school conference room to office conversion and the high school copy room to conference room conversion is well underway. That should be finished within about 2 weeks. So if you're familiar with the front office, we took the kind of copy area that's next to Kelly George back in there, turned that into a conference room, and then the conference room, we're going to make that into a couple offices in there. I'm working with Zach. We're going to probably place some cubicles in there and then have a conference table in the middle so they can meet. It's my understanding now that the 2 individuals that are going in there do share an open office space, so it's kind of nothing new to them.
You said you're 2 weeks out from that?
For our part for completion, yeah, we're doing the painting, we had to do some electrical work and
Okay.
floor patching. We took the cabinets out of the copy room and, there was no flooring on there, so we had to patch in the floor, repaint it, move the copier, a lot of little things going on there.
And then in terms of the interiors, Jim, how is procurement, what's sort of with procurement for those items?
I left that up to Zach. I don't know what his thoughts are on that. If we're just going to leverage existing desks, or if he had something else in mind.
Well, you mentioned cubicles, which is why I
Yeah.
asked that. So if that's the case, then I don't know, from a procurement standpoint, if you would go through, from a cost standpoint, you should not just go through, like, school, whatever,
We would look for a CoStar's vendor.
right.
Yeah.
okay. So similar to the district office distributor.
Correct.
Okay.
I have the fire panels on here, so that's going to be pretty busy starting those right up in June. They're going to have multiple teams working on them. So that'll be slated for this summer, and then again next summer for Skipback and Schwanksville. I've scheduled the student paving the parking lot for June 23rd. I've confirmed that date. That's going to take about a week, and I talked to Mr. Overholzer the other day, and we're going to keep the striping layout the same. We're just going to move it 5 feet back off of 29 and closer to the building. So we're just going to shift in 5 feet. That's what he asked for.
How about lights?
We did add the lights already.
You did add the lights, okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And has Mr. O been out there to take a look?
He says they're great.
Awesome,
Yep.
wonderful. The lights are complete then, okay.
Just going to kind of skip here down to the high school grease trap replacement, because this is going to coincide with the high school student lot paving. So the grease trap that's underground for the high schools, it's rotting away. When they put it in, they use steel, so it's deteriorating and it's going to start leaking out. So we have to have that replaced. I did receive several quotes. It's going to be Saxstone it for $19,744, and they're going to tackle that the same week they're here doing the high school paving. So
And where does that run?
it's out by the other loading dock.
It's
by,
not under the student lot, it's just gonna be coordinated timeline.
Yeah, so they don't.
Okay,
I don't have to pay more mobilization fees and all that.
That's fine.
So
I thought it, because it was underneath the lot or something like that, okay.
it's actually back by the dust collector.
Okay,
Yeah. And then the jump back up here, I'm still working on the football storage structure. The first quote through KPN was astronomical for a steel building. We were pushing over 200,000. I'm like, I can't, guys. So I did reach out to an architect because I need a set of plans to issue an RFQ. And the township's going to require them anyway for, footings and all that great stuff. So I'm working on obtaining those prints, and then we'll issue the RFQ. I do have a good idea of what the football coach needs. He did provide the initial print
it was
of
pretty
what he wants.
detailed,
Yeah.
right. And with regards to the timeline for that, I know initially when we talked about it several months ago, it was prior to the football season for next year. Is that still feasible, or at this point, because of the progress of things, you have to go through the motions of the different steps, so.
I mean, if we can get the prints and then put it out to bid, I mean, it'll be close.
Okay. And that's been communicated, I'm assuming, too.
Yes, I've been in email contact.
Thank you.
The other thing is the district-wide storage structures. We kind of performed a brief audit. We took pictures, got sizes, and figured that out. So we're going to take the top 10 that are in need and focus on those, standardize, consolidate. If you can skip ahead a couple, Jim.
Yeah, I was gonna.
I can. Yeah, that's one of the sheds here. So, like I said, we're working on the top 10 sheds. We kind of want to. A lot of these sheds now are used for football storage as well, so we might be able to, eliminate some of the ones that are currently being used for storage, and put that money, offset that money towards the structure. I mean, the sheds are probably around 10 to 12,000 a piece, said and done. So that money would funnel back into, the storage structure for the football equipment. So, I mean, my goal is to standardize, consolidate, and maximize storage. between all these. I just don't want a shed just to have a shed, and just keep a couple things in it. Doesn't make sense. So the next steps, I've been working with my ground supervisor, Josh Bertolf. We're going to meet with the stakeholders to determine the appropriate sizes of the structures, what they're housing in them, and their access needs. And once all that information is gathered, we're going to issue an RFQ so we can, like economy of scale, we'll put it out and say, all right, Mr. Shed Builder, we need 10, give me your best price. So,
And so when you say stakeholder, I'm assuming in some instances you mean boosters, not just
whoever's,
advertisers?
like whoever's,
The owner of the
The owner
top
of
10
that,
sheds?
yeah.
Okay. And so I know, through other refurbishment initiatives, we've had sort of a timeline. So obviously there's more than 10 sheds. So if we can make some sort of a plan with a cycle of replacement for so the first 10 will be, and then the second 10.
it's going to be a multi-year approach, yeah.
Right. But maybe if we can plan out to let folks know that don't fall in the top 10 when they're on the horizon for, like, okay, you're not in our top 10
Yep.
priority, but in 2 years or 1 year or however we roll it and pace it.
Yep.
Because it's not like 10,000 is not a lot of money, but it's also,
Well, when you add them up, we're over $500,000.
no, absolutely understood, but that's why I think if there's a phased plan of rollout, like similar to the truck replacement and things
Yep.
like that, vehicle replacement, I think it's helpful to have people have an awareness that it is on your radar and that you didn't forget about them.
Absolutely.
And then in addition to the structure, will there be standardized locks and accessibility for all of them?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. And then what is the timeline to have the stakeholder conversations? Are you giving yourself like the month of February and then we're gonna get RFPs out for?
I'm thinking I'm going to start in March.
Okay.
Pretty busy right now.
Okay. Are you busy, Joe? Okay.
Just a little bit.
Snow and whatnot? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Broken pipes, all that.
Okay, so March. So however many,
Yeah, there's 10, so yeah, it shouldn't take too long.
like 2 a week? Or, in other words, when will we have the idea about, now you've got the information, and now we're gonna lock it up?
When's our next safety and ops meeting?
February
Well, he's gonna wait till March.
February 20th.
Okay. So maybe the March safety and ops?
Yeah,
Is that fair?
that's fair.
Well, then it wouldn't be board approved until April, though.
Well, this is why I was asking about the timeline, right? But it's okay. I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot this instant, but those are the.
I'll get
that's
back
what
to you
I'm-
on that.
That's what I'm wondering, right? Okay.
We'll confirm.
Yeah.
Well, part of it would also. you have
A
to
lot of
take
this
into
depends on the
consideration
football
exactly.
storage shed,
So
too,
if we know
because-
where we are in the football,
Yeah.
that could minus out a few sheds.
100% understood.
Yeah.
But once you tell people you're gonna do something for them, then they wanna know, like, well, when are we getting it? So I'm just trying to,
Yep.
full accountability as far as our responsibility to deliver for them, that's all. Yep.
And then the last item I have on my chart here is adding a card access to Schweinsville Playground. I did a quick survey of the elementaries, and they're the only one that doesn't have card access on their playground for some reason. So they are in need of it. So I'm waiting on a finalized quote, but it should be around $5,500.
Can you talk about that? What
About
that
what?
means?
So when they go out to the playground, teachers no longer have exterior door keys from when we did the report project.
Oh, you mean from the building?
They can't get back into the
Okay.
building. They have to go around and then come back in, and someone has to open the
Okay.
door.
In my mind, I thought you meant like from the gate of the playground. You mean
No.
to the building, from the
Fro-
building
yeah,
to the
from
playground?
Yep.
Okay, so card act 5,500. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. And that will be,
We can knock that out, and once it gets board approved, end of February probably.
and that was your
March.
last item?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the board approved asks then? So that's one of them.
So Joe covered a lot there.
Yeah, he sure did, but if we can head back up the list backwards, that would be,
All right, so,
Well, I can do card access, grease trap replacement,
okay.
um,
You're done. The
the
paving was
fire
approved.
panels. The paving was already
fire
approved.
panels.
The fire
The
panels.
cameras associated with the PCCD grant.
Yep.
East and West Auditorium, Phase 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm. I think that's it.
Yeah, the truck.
Roofs were approved?
The what?
All of the roofs were approved?
Oh, yeah, that was
Yeah,
all.
that's
yep,
ESCO.
That's
Okay,
all ESCO
all right.
5A.
The
Um,
keys were approved?
Yep.
The truck conversation.
I'm just bringing that forward. We
Yeah.
haven't done anything with that
Right.
yet.
So the truck conversation will be merged with driver's education. Driver's education needs a car as well, so we'll probably try to bring those together at the same time for municipal lease.
You're talking about the dump truck?
Yeah.
Okay.
For a second there, I was like,
Didn't we
dump
just
truck
buy,
for
didn't we
driver's
just
ed?
buy a driver's ed car?
We haven't purchased one in quite a while.
Oh, we haven't.
We have a 16, a 17, and a 19, I believe.
I feel like 40, okay. I must just, okay, that's no problem, okay. And then the, the e-stores were approved already?
No, they need to be board approved.
Okay.
Are we ready to go with those?
Yeah.
The auditorium we talked about. The playground.
Yep.
The high school keys you said were. The lights are done. The student paving was done. The dump truck we're waiting. What am I forgetting, guys?
I think that's it, right?
Yeah. I
The
think
AEDs were approved. That was just an FYI.
Correct.
That was a grant,
Yep.
right? Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that anything that needs approved for February gets on the agenda.
Got it.
Was anything that we talked about something that we need to push further than February?
I don't think so.
No, I think we're on the hurry up timeline on a lot of
Well, I want to, because we have next school year, I feel like is here somehow already in terms
coming
of
quick.
completion of
Well,
things.
it is. You think of February. I mean,
Yeah.
we're looking at if you want something done before the end of the school year.
Right. Well, because
Basically, we got an agenda.
ordering has to happen
If
and,
we want to get anything moving for the
Right.
summer, you got till maybe March.
all right, maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Cool. All right.
Okay, it's a lot, and we appreciate working together, so we'll get a whole bunch on the board agenda. A lot's already on there, so we'll have some additional
Great.
follow-up. Okay, quick update on the task force. I know Dr. Russell's not here tonight, but she did want to share some things. Arthur, I can read them. Okay, so Arthur's
Says
here
yes,
as
please.
well. So we have had conversations proposing the grade level alignments, which we're well aware of, space constraints and specialized classrooms, financial considerations, all of those things. Maximizing our facilities, our uses, educational changes over the years. We have set up community meetings. One is for January 30th and one is for February 27th. Dr. Russell is planning to meet with all staff. She's already met with the staff in several different meetings. She wants to direct a survey to all the staff as well. And she will continue to have discussions at our board level with updates during her superintendent's presentations to the board and to the public. Any final recommendation and action steps? She's hopeful that we can get this going and moving, similar to the conversation we just had about timing, before the end of this school year. And we do recognize that any recommendation will not be implemented and available to start until 26-27. So we will have essentially the entire 25-26 year to hammer out the details as well, prepare ourselves moving forward. Any questions on that?
The only thing that I think that I would add from the conversation standpoint that I don't see in a bullet point is that home and school conversations have begun. I think 2/3 of them, or 2/4, 2 out of 4. 3 out of 4 have happened, okay. I knew that there was at least 2 that okay, so 3 out of 4 have happened, and that's at the elementary school level with the home and school. And then the other item that I don't see on here is the busing analysis and the conversations that I know you guys have engaged with STA about.
Yes, that is
So I
correct.
just wanted to state that for the record, that those are also things that are the wheels are moving on those.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely they are. Thank you.
You're welcome. So more to come.
Yes.
It'll be, so next, is it next week? I feel like January is like 1,000 weeks long. Wonderful.
Okay, so
Is?
some other things that happened. We had breaking news, and one thing that was already happened. Mr. Fabrizio mentioned it. We did have a pipe that burst in our science wing
That's
today,
thrilling.
late in the
Hey!
afternoon.
Ooh,
1 o'clock today.
yeah, how'd that go?
It was wet.
Was it a little soggy?
So
Awesome.
the response is that the team, everything from the teacher recognizing something was wrong, to letting the proper people know, to the response from the operations department and our plumber Brad, to getting there. Everybody was there. We brought the insurance company in to the loop. We had ServPro come to double check things, and Joe and his staff are already working on changes to make sure that that doesn't happen. That's not on this list, but that did happen. And that's it. The only other thing, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
There's those three things we talked about
Yes.
in the other conversation.
Yep.
I like that breaking news. That's good to have on the other. I like that.
Okay. Joe mentioned the sheds already, and that's all I have for tonight. Is there anything else that we'd like to add to the notes?
Yeah, we moved through it. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah? All
Great.
good?
Thank you. Next meeting, February 20th.
Beautiful.
All right. Awesome.
See you in the beginning of the month.
Thank you all.
Thank you
Yes.
all.